All characters and events are fictional. Any resemblance is coincidental. If you believe every lie leaves proof, comment proof and stay with me. They didn't let me see her. Not in the hospital. Not in the morgue. Not even for one last goodbye. They just called me and said it was done. Your mother passed last night, my brother's voice told me. Flat, controlled, like he was reading a weather report. And then the next sentence hit harder than the death itself. We already buried her. I gripped my phone so tightly my fingers went numb. Buried her? I whispered. What do you mean buried her? It was... Quick, he said. Private. You know Mom didn't want a scene. A scene. That's what my goodbye was to him. A scene. I remember standing in my kitchen with the lights off, hearing my own breathing, and feeling something I didn't want to admit. Not grief. Not yet. Suspicion. Because my mother was the kind of woman who kept receipts. For everything. Bills. Jewelry. Old birthday cards. And when women like that die, they don't get buried quick unless someone wants them quiet. I drove to the cemetery alone at 2:46 a.m. No announcement, no family, no flowers. Just me, a flashlight, and a gut feeling that wouldn't let me sleep. The cemetery gate creaked like it was warning me to leave. I found her plot by memory, because I used to visit my father's grave in the same row when I was a teenager. But when my light hit the fresh dirt, my heart stopped, because the name on the temporary marker wasn't my mother's full name, and the ground wasn't shaped like a proper burial. It was too flat, too clean, too staged. I knelt down, pressed my palm against the dirt, and felt something hard beneath it. Not wood, not coffin, plastic. I didn't scream. I just stood up and called 911 without saying a word, because I knew, in that moment, that someone had buried a lie, and whoever did it was still watching me. My name is Ava Hart. I'm 36 years old, and I've spent most of my life being the reliable one, the calm daughter, the quiet sister, the one who handles problems instead of creating them. I work in compliance, paper trails, signatures, missing funds, the kind of job that teaches you one brutal truth. If someone rushes you, it's because they don't want you reading the fine print. And my family? They've been rushing me my whole life, especially my brother. Ethan Hart, 39. Polished voice. Clean shoes. The kind of man who knows how to sound like a caring son while hiding a knife behind his smile. The first cruiser rolled in without sirens, no red-blue chaos, just headlights sweeping across headstones like slow, suspicious eyes. 2 officers stepped out, a man first, mid-30s, calm posture, hand near his belt. Then a woman, older, sharper gaze, the kind that reads lies before they finish forming. Ma'am, the woman said quietly. Did you call? I nodded. My throat felt locked. She shined her flashlight on the dirt. Then she did something that made my skin go colder than the night air. She pressed her boot lightly into the ground. It didn't sink the way fresh burial dirt should. She looked at the male officer, and he didn't look confused. He looked familiar, like he'd seen this kind of grave before. Who buried her? He asked. My brother, I said. He called me and said it was done. The woman's eyes flicked to the marker. What's her legal full name? Eleanor Marie Hart. The marker read, Eleanor Hart, missing the middle name. Missing the suffix my mother always insisted on including, because she said legal names mattered. The male officer exhaled slowly. Do you have any paperwork? He asked. Death certificate? Permit? Funeral receipt? I shook my head. They didn't give me anything. The female officer's jaw tightened. That's not normal, she said, and she didn't say it like a suggestion. She said it like a verdict. The male officer crouched and brushed his glove over the dirt carefully. Then he stopped. There, half buried, was the edge of something, not wood, plastic. He pulled it gently, just enough to see what it was. A thick black tarp folded, like someone had laid it under the dirt to keep things clean. My stomach turned. The female officer lifted her radio. "Dispatch," she said. "We need cemetery management on site. Possible tampering." Then she looked at me. "Do you feel safe going home tonight?" I almost laughed, but no sound came out. "Home," I whispered. "I don't even know where my mother is." She nodded once, like she understood more than I'd said. "Okay," she said. "We're going to do this carefully." She paused. "And Ava, don't tell anyone you came here." I stared at her. "Why?" She didn't answer directly. She just said, "Because someone buried something at 2:46 a.m. hoping nobody would look." And then she tilted her head slightly, scanning the dark. "People don't stage graves for nothing." They didn't dig that night. They said it required procedures. But before they left, the female officer, Officer Grant, handed me her card. "If anyone contacts you tonight," she said, "don't answer, call me." And the way she said it wasn't dramatic. It was protective. I drove to my mother's house instead of mine. I needed something real, something familiar. Her porch light was off. That alone made me pause. My mother never left her porch light off. She said darkness invited mistakes. I unlocked the front door. The house smelled like lavender and paper, and something else. Clean, too clean, like someone had wiped away a presence. I stepped inside and whispered without meaning to, "Mom?" Silence. But the air felt wrong, not haunted. Edited, like someone had cut her out. My mother's purse wasn't where she always left it. She had this habit, same place every time, on the little table by the hallway mirror, under a ceramic dish shaped like a leaf. The table was empty. The dish was gone. I moved through the house slowly. Her bedroom was neat, her closet organized, but the top shelf where she stored old envelopes and important things was missing an entire box. My compliance brain started clicking. Missing items, missing documentation, rushed burial, incorrect name. And then I saw it. Her home office door was locked. My mother didn't lock that door. Ever. She trusted her home like it was an extension of her spine. Locked meant someone had needed time alone in there. I found the spare key hidden where she always kept it. Behind the little frame of my father's photo. My hands shook as I unlocked the office. The room looked normal at first. Desk, computer, printer. But her filing cabinet, where she kept legal paperwork, was slightly open. Not fully open. Just imperfect. My mother didn't do imperfect. I pulled it. Folders were out of order, some missing, and on the desk, something that made my lungs stop for a second. A receipt. Not a funeral receipt. A storage unit receipt. Unit 117. Dated 2 days ago. I stared at it. Why would my mother rent a storage unit 2 days ago? Unless she knew something was coming. Or someone else rented it in her name. I stepped back, suddenly feeling like I was standing in a room that wasn't mine. And then my phone vibrated. "Ethan." I didn't answer. He called again. Then again. Finally a text. "Where are you?" Then, "Don't do anything stupid." Stupid. That word always came out when he wanted control. I typed, "I went to the cemetery." 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, "Why would you do that?" Then, "Mom didn't want a scene." I stared at the screen. Same phrase, same script. He was repeating it like it was programmed. So I typed, "Her marker has the wrong name." Silence, longer. Then, "Stop. You're grieving." And that's when the cold settled in my chest. Because he wasn't surprised. He wasn't confused. He was trying to shut me down. My best friend Mara answered on the second ring. "Ava," she said, "it's almost 3 in the morning." "Mara," I whispered, "my brother says my mother died. He says she's buried, but the grave is wrong." Silence. Then her voice sharpened. "Where are you?" "At Mom's house. Don't leave," she said immediately. "Lock the door." Turn on every light. I swallowed. Mara, am I losing it? No, she said. You're noticing details. That's what you do. I stared at the storage receipt again. I found a storage unit receipt, I said. Mara exhaled. Ava, that's not random, that's leverage. While Mara stayed on the phone, I found myself staring at my father's photo. He died when I was 16. Heart attack. Sudden. Back then, Ethan had handled everything. I remembered how fast it all moved, how quickly paperwork appeared, how little I saw, how the funeral happened before my grief could even sit down. And now, my mother. Same pattern. Ethan rushing, Ethan controlling, Ethan blocking access, and a thought I hated formed in my head. What if my father's death wasn't as clean as we believed? Mara's voice broke through. Ava, listen. You need to call Officer Grant. I nodded slowly and dialed. Officer Grant arrived in 15 minutes. She came alone, no sirens. She stepped into my mother's house like she'd been there before, like she understood how families hide crimes inside normal. What did you find? She asked. I handed her the receipt. Her eyes narrowed. Unit 117, she read. Then she looked at me. You said your brother handled everything. Yes. Has your mother ever been afraid of him? That question hit like a slap, because the answer wasn't a simple yes. It was, I never let myself ask. I swallowed. I don't know, I admitted. Officer Grant nodded once. Okay, she said. Then we're going to find out. At 8:30 a.m., Officer Grant took me to the hospital. We didn't go to the front desk. We went to medical records. And the woman behind the window, older, tired eyes, looked up. Officer Grant showed her badge. We need confirmation of a death, she said. Eleanor Marie Hart. The woman typed, then froze. I don't have that name in our system. My heart slammed. What? I whispered. Officer Grant stayed calm. Try Eleanor Hart. The woman typed again. She swallowed. There's an Eleanor Hart admitted, she said, voice quiet. But she's not marked as deceased. My ears rang. Officer Grant leaned in. Where is she? She asked. The woman hesitated. I can't. Officer Grant lowered her voice. Someone buried a fake grave last night. The woman's face drained, and she typed again fast. Then she whispered, Room 612, ICU overflow. I turned to Officer Grant, trembling. My brother said she was dead. Officer Grant's eyes hardened. Then your brother lied, she said, and we need to move. ICU overflow was quiet. No families, no visitors, just machines and fluorescent light. We found room 612, and there she was, my mother, pale, thin, oxygen line, a monitor pulsing slowly, alive, not dead, not buried. I covered my mouth so I wouldn't make a sound. Officer Grant spoke to the nurse at the station. The nurse looked nervous. We were told no visitors, she said. Told by who? Officer Grant asked. The nurse hesitated, then looked down. Her son, she admitted. Ethan Hart. My blood turned to ice. He didn't just lie to me. He tried to isolate her, to make her disappear. While she was still breathing, my mother's eyes fluttered open. Not fully, just enough to see me. Her fingers moved slightly. I stepped closer. Mom, I whispered. I'm here. Her lips barely moved, but she forced out 2 words. Not I love you, not help me. She whispered, don't sign. My stomach dropped. Officer Grant heard it too, and I realized something sickening. This wasn't a family misunderstanding. This was a plan built on paperwork, and my mother, barely conscious, was warning me the same way Dr. Navarro warned me in the other story. Don't sign, as if the universe wanted to prove my worst fear. A man in a suit appeared at the end of the hall. Expensive haircut, expensive briefcase. He walked toward us like he belonged there. Ava Hart? He asked with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Officer Grant stepped in front of me. Who are you? He flashed a card. Thomas Whitfield, Family council. My stomach twisted. Family council. That phrase always means one thing. Someone's already been planning. Whitfield smiled. Your brother asked me to bring documents for you to sign, he said smoothly. To simplify things. Officer Grant's voice sharpened. She's not signing anything, she said. Whitfield's smile thinned. You don't understand, he said. This is for her mother's wishes. My mother's eyes were half open. Her finger twitched. Whitfield didn't even look at her. He looked at me like I was a problem, like paperwork could erase. Officer Grant leaned closer. Walk away, she said softly. Whitfield's eyes flicked to her badge. For the first time, he hesitated. Then he gave a polite nod. Of course, he said, and walked away. But as he passed me, he whispered almost kindly, Your brother is only trying to protect you. Protect me, that line again. Same script, different mouth. I did what I do best. I followed the paper trail. Back at my mother's house, Officer Grant helped me access her laptop. It was password locked, but my mother used the same password for years. Dad's birthday. I typed it, it opened, and inside her email was a draft message, saved, not sent, to me. Subject line. If you're reading this, he did IT. My throat closed. I clicked. Inside were bullet points, not emotional, not dramatic, just evidence. Ethan requested full medical power of attorney. Ethan demanded private handling of death arrangements. Ethan contacted Whitfield and Kane. Ethan asked for expedited burial option. Ethan asked for estate consolidation. At the bottom, storage unit 117, key hidden, and a final line, if he rushes you, he's hiding something. I stared at it. My mother wasn't paranoid, she was documenting, which meant she'd been afraid long before last night. And she never told me, because she knew Ethan would punish her for it. We searched the house carefully, not like panicked daughters, like investigators. In the kitchen, Officer Grant opened drawers. In the living room, she checked behind frames. Then she paused at the hallway mirror. Does your mother ever hide things here? She asked. And suddenly I remembered. The ceramic leaf dish. Missing. My pulse spiked. Ethan took it, I whispered. Officer Grant's eyes narrowed. Then we take it back, she said. Ethan's house was in the nice part of town. Not mansion nice, but curated. Clean, controlled. Like him. Officer Grant didn't storm in. She knocked. Professional. Ethan opened the door wearing a soft sweater and that exact concerned face he always performed. Ava? He said gently. What are you doing here? Officer Grant stepped forward. Ethan Hart? She asked. Yes, we need to ask you some questions about your mother's condition and legal paperwork, she said. Ethan's smile stayed, but his eyes sharpened. My mother passed, he said smoothly. This is inappropriate. Officer Grant didn't blink. Your mother is alive, she said. Ethan's smile cracked, just a hair. Then he recovered. She was alive, he corrected. Last I saw. Officer Grant tilted her head. You told your sister she was buried, she said. Ethan sighed. I was trying to spare her, he said. She's emotional, and that's when I realized. Ethan wasn't just lying. He was building a narrative. A narrative where I was unstable, so no one would believe me. Just like Brooke in that other story. Same tactic, different family. Officer Grant looked past him. May we come in? She asked. Ethan hesitated, then stepped aside. Inside, everything smelled like expensive detergent and control. And on his coffee table, there it was. The ceramic leaf dish. My heart thudded. Officer Grant's eyes followed mine. She walked over calmly, picked it up and turned it over. Underneath, taped, a small key and a storage unit tag. 117. Ethan's face went pale. For the first time, he didn't have the right expression ready. That's, he started. Officer Grant held it up. Where did you get this? She asked. Ethan swallowed. My mother gave it to me. Interesting, Officer Grant said. Because your mother is in ICU. She hasn't been giving anyone anything. Ethan's jaw tightened. He glanced at me like he wanted to say something cruel. But he couldn't, because police were watching, so he smiled. That fake, careful smile. I don't know what you think you're doing, he said softly, but you're making a mistake. Officer Grant's voice dropped colder. No, she said. You did. We went that night. Officer Grant said waiting was dangerous, and my instincts agreed. The storage facility was a corridor of metal doors and silence. The manager looked nervous when he saw the badge. Officer Grant didn't threaten. She simply stated, "We have probable cause related to fraud and medical interference." He swallowed. Unit 117, he said, leading us down the hall. My heart pounded with every step, because something inside me already knew. Whatever was behind that door was the reason Ethan tried to bury my mother fast. The manager unlocked the door. It rolled up with a metallic scream, and the smell hit first. Plastic, dust, cold air. Officer Grant shined her flashlight. Boxes, suitcases, folders, and then a shelf labeled with names, not random names, family names, my father's name, my mother's name, and mine, Ava Hart. I stepped back, dizzy. Officer Grant put a hand out. Don't touch, she said. Then she shined her light lower, and I saw it. A file folder, stamped in black letters. Funeral authorization, expedited and clipped to it. A blank signature page with my name printed underneath. They were going to make it look like I approved it, like I gave consent, like I signed her away. My fingers curled into fists. Officer Grant photographed everything. Then she opened one box carefully. Inside were items from my mother's house. Her jewelry, her receipt envelopes, her old birthday cards, her evidence. Ethan didn't steal to keep memories. He stole to control proof. Then Officer Grant opened a long plastic container. Inside was something I will never forget. A folded tarp, a temporary marker, a bag of dirt, a shovel head, a kit, a grave kit. My stomach lurched. He didn't bury her. He staged a burial, so I'd stop asking questions, so the world would accept a story. Officer Grant's voice went quiet. This is premeditated, she said. I whispered, he did it before, didn't he? Officer Grant didn't answer immediately. She just stared at the kit. Then she said, or he planned to. And that was somehow worse. At the bottom of the shelf was a sealed envelope, not addressed to me, addressed to Whitfield and Kane, private. Officer Grant photographed it, then used gloves to open it. Inside were copies of a will, a revised will, dated last week. It removed me. It gave Ethan control of everything. But the thing that made my blood go cold was the witness signature. A nurse, a hospital nurse, room 612's wing. My mother hadn't been conscious enough to sign anything, so how was there a witnessed signature? Officer Grant's eyes hardened. This is falsified, she said. Then she looked at me. They were going to declare her dead, bury the story, and execute the will. I swallowed hard. And if I resisted? Officer Grant's voice went flat. They'd call you unstable. And suddenly, every single rushed moment made sense. Officer Grant's phone buzzed. She stepped aside, listened, then came back with a different face. Toxicology is back, she said quietly. I froze. Toxicology? I whispered. She nodded. Your mother's blood work, she said. The doctor requested it after you showed up. My throat tightened. What did it show? Officer Grant's gaze held mine. A sedative, she said. Not prescribed, not recorded. High enough to suppress cognition. I felt my entire body go cold. They didn't just isolate her, they drugged her, so she couldn't fight, so she couldn't speak, so she couldn't stop the signatures. And suddenly that whisper came back. Don't sign. My mother had been trying, through fog and poison, to protect me from paperwork that would erase her. Ethan was arrested the next morning. Not in a dramatic chase, not in handcuffs on the lawn. It was quieter, more humiliating. Officer Grant and 2 detectives walked into his office building, past reception, past coworkers, straight to his glass-walled conference room. And they led him out in front of everyone. He didn't yell, he didn't cry. He did what men like Ethan do when they lose control. He tried to speak like a victim. "This is a misunderstanding," he said calmly. Officer Grant didn't respond. She just held up one photograph. The grave kit, the forged will, the sedative report. And that was the moment Ethan's face finally changed. Not anger, not denial, fear. Because the only thing that destroys a liar like Ethan is proof. Later, at the station, he asked to see me. Officer Grant warned me, "You don't owe him anything," but I needed one thing: closure. I walked into the interview room. Ethan sat there in a plain chair, hands cuffed. He looked smaller. Not because he was weak, because control had been stripped. He smiled when he saw me. That same polished smile. "Ava," he said softly, "you always overreact." I stared at him and said calmly, "She's alive." His smile twitched. "She would have died soon anyway," he said, like it was math. That sentence punched the air out of me. "What?" I whispered. He leaned forward slightly. "I was protecting the family," he said. "The family?" I repeated. He shrugged. "Mom was slipping," he said. "She was going to ruin things." "Ruin what?" I asked, voice tight. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "The plan," he admitted quietly. And there it was. The truth. Finally, not grief, not love, a plan. I leaned in. "Dad," I said softly. "Did you do something to Dad?" Ethan's face didn't change, but his eyes flickered. Half a second. And that was all the answer I needed. He didn't deny it. He just said, "You don't have proof." I smiled, not happy, cold, and I whispered, "I didn't." Until now, my mother recovered slowly. She wasn't the same for a while, but she was alive, and the moment she could speak clearly, she asked for one thing: a pen. Not to sign, to write. She wrote a statement. She wrote names. She wrote dates. And she handed it to the prosecutor like it was a final gift. Ethan was charged with fraud, forgery, medical interference, obstruction, attempted coercion. Whitfield lost his license pending investigation. The nurse was fired and later charged as an accessory. And that fake grave? The cemetery reported it. The facility's footage proved Ethan's car there at 1:52 a.m. He had staged it like theater, but he forgot something. My mother's favorite rule, the one she taught me when I was a teenager: keep receipts. Because receipts aren't just paper, they're power. People think the worst betrayal is cheating. It's not. The worst betrayal is when someone uses love as a cover for a plan. When they rush you, isolate you, silence you, and call it protection. My brother tried to bury my mother, not because she was dead, but because she was dangerous. Dangerous to his lies, dangerous to his paperwork, dangerous to his control. He tried to bury the truth, but the truth doesn't stay buried, because every lie leaves proof, and in the end, that proof didn't just save my mother. It saved me, because I didn't scream, I didn't beg, I didn't break. I looked, I followed the trail, and I brought the evidence. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to The Final Evidence, because every lie leaves proof.